Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The loudest man in the room is usually compensating for the quiet one who already owns it. There's a strange category of men that psychology still struggles to define. Men who lead without followers, influence without trying, and dominate social ecosystems while pretending not to exist in them. They're not alpha, not beta, not gamma. They're the Sigma males, the ones who operate outside every known social script, rewriting the rules while others rehearse them. Here's the funny part. Society still thinks they're just introverts with Wi-Fi. But in reality, these men are psychological outliers, self-contained systems with minds that orbit differently. According to behavioral research, individuals who score high in autonomy and self-direction tend to disrupt hierarchies rather than climb them. Sigma males don't crave validation, they deconstruct it. This video isn't about another tired breakdown of the lone wolf. It's about the 12 distinct species of Sigma energy, each one a different mutation of independence, intellect, and silent rebellion. Some manipulate time, others emotions. A few dismantle entire egos with nothing but observation. So, before you try to label them, remember, they already escaped the alphabet long before you arrived. Let's step inside their world, quietly, carefully, and maybe with a touch of dark humor. Because if you think you've figured them out, you've already missed the point. Number 1, the energy economist. The Sigma male who operates as an energy economist understands one brutal truth. Attention is the real currency of power. He's not stingy with money or time. He's stingy with his presence. He knows that every conversation, every text, every emotional response costs him energy. And energy, once spent on the wrong people, never gives returns. Most people give themselves away for free, desperate to be liked, heard, or seen. The Sigma watches this and shakes his head. He treats his energy like gold, rare, precise, and reserved for places that multiply it, not drain it. He doesn't ghost people out of arrogance. He simply performs cost-benefit analysis in silence. If someone's drama feels like a debt that will never be paid, he quietly disappears. He's not cold, he's efficient. He doesn't invest in interactions that don't yield growth, peace, or clarity. This is why he often appears detached or hard to read. He's not avoiding life, he's editing it, removing anything that distorts his mental balance. His detachment is discipline, not disinterest. People who thrive on chaos call him distant, but what they call distance, he calls sanity. He learned that saying yes to everyone is just another form of self-sabotage. He'd rather be misunderstood than emotionally bankrupt. He's not trying to impress anyone, he's trying to sustain his inner empire. The Sigma energy economist also knows that emotional control equals leverage. He doesn't argue impulsively because arguments are energy black holes. Once you start feeding them, they never stop eating. He observes quietly, letting others exhaust themselves while he stays fully charged. When he finally speaks, it cuts through noise like a laser. Precise, minimal, effective. His calmness isn't a performance. It's a system he's built to protect his mental bandwidth. He calculates before reacting, measures before speaking, and withdraws before wasting. That's why his silence often feels louder than other men's shouting, because it's not emptiness, it's preserved energy. He's mastered the rare art of selective engagement, knowing when to give, when to vanish, and when to guard his focus like treasure. In a world addicted to attention, he remains the man too valuable to waste it. Number 2, the invisible leader. The invisible leader is the Sigma male who leads without ever announcing it. He never chases authority, yet people somehow start moving in his direction. It's not charisma in the traditional sense, it's gravity. His influence isn't loud or theatrical, it's subtle, steady, and almost invisible until you trace where ideas came from and realize most of them began with him. He doesn't need followers to feel powerful. He influences outcomes through presence, precision, and psychological weight. While others compete for the spotlight, he controls the current underneath it. He understands that true leadership isn't about being seen, it's about shaping what's unseen. He builds systems that run themselves, sparks thoughts that grow in other minds, and plants standards so high that people unconsciously adjust their behavior when he's around. He doesn't motivate through pep talks or slogans. He motivates through consistency. His discipline infects people's awareness. They start wanting to level up just by observing him. The invisible leader doesn't fight for control because he knows control is an illusion. The loud leaders constantly burn out trying to manage everything, while he directs things with quiet precision. He'll speak when necessary, but when he does, it's never to impress. It's to redirect. His authority doesn't come from volume, it comes from alignment. His values, behavior, and thinking are so coherent that people instinctively trust him without understanding why. He's the kind of man who can enter a room and shift the tone without saying a word. That's not mysticism, it's energy discipline. He radiates stability in a chaotic world, and stability always attracts attention. Others start mirroring him unconsciously, copying his calm, his standards, his decisions. By the time they realize they've been influenced, the transformation has already taken root. The Sigma who leads invisibly knows that real power never announces itself. It reveals itself through results. He's content letting others take credit because recognition was never his goal. What drives him is mastery of himself, his craft, and his surroundings. In a world obsessed with visibility, he's proof that the most powerful man is often the one no one can fully see, yet everyone somehow follows. Number 3. The stoic trickster. The stoic trickster is the Sigma male who mastered self-control but refuses to become predictable. He's calm, calculated, and always in control of his emotions. Yet there's a mischievous current underneath his composure that keeps everyone guessing. People mistake his silence for stillness, but he's constantly observing, analyzing, and waiting for the perfect moment to disrupt whatever feels fake. He doesn't create chaos out of boredom. He does it out of precision, to test who's genuine and who's built on performance. This Sigma understands that predictability is weakness. Once people can fully read you, they can manipulate you, so he keeps his next move hidden under layers of logic and humor. He can be deeply serious one moment and sharply sarcastic the next, not because he's inconsistent, but because he uses unpredictability as a defense mechanism. It keeps manipulators off balance and exposes false confidence in others. When people think they've figured him out, he subtly twists reality and makes them question their assumptions. His humor isn't light-hearted, it's surgical. It cuts through hypocrisy and pretense without needing confrontation. He'll drop a perfectly timed comment that sounds casual but dismantles ego at its core. It's his way of revealing truth without spilling anger. The stoic trickster's power lies in this balance, composed enough to command respect, unpredictable enough to keep power. People often underestimate him because he never flexes authority. Yet when he decides to act, it feels strategic, almost playful in its precision. He destabilizes fake systems, offices built on politics, groups built on ego, relationships built on masks, not to destroy them, but to see what survives the shock. What remains after his disruption is always something real, something raw. He's the type who could humiliate arrogance with a single smirk, or diffuse tension with a line so sharp it resets the whole room. Beneath his calm surface lives a mind that enjoys shaking illusions, not maliciously but philosophically. To him, truth must be tested through friction. And that's the paradox of the stoic trickster. He's both peace and provocation, serenity with a loaded sense of humor, the man who laughs quietly while the world tries to guess what he'll do next. Number 4. The quiet arsonist. The quiet arsonist is the Sigma male who doesn't destroy for chaos. He destroys to cleanse. He's the man who can sit silently in a room and sense every false layer in it. The fake smiles, the unspoken lies, the people performing versions of themselves. He doesn't call them out, doesn't argue, doesn't make speeches. He simply begins to remove his presence, his energy, and his belief from the equation. And everything built on pretense starts collapsing under its own weight. His absence exposes what was already rotten. He understands that not everything broken needs fixing. Some things need burning. But his fire is never emotional. It's surgical. He burns down illusions the way a doctor removes infection. To him, destruction is the only way to reveal truth. That's why people often feel unsettled around him. Their comfort zones start cracking without him saying a word. His silence feels like judgment, but it's actually clarity. He just sees too clearly what others work too hard to ignore. When he leaves a friendship, a system, or a job, it's rarely with drama. He walks away quietly, and within weeks the cracks appear. The group that looked united suddenly implodes. The relationship that seemed perfect starts unraveling. He doesn't take pride in it, but he recognizes the pattern. His detachment acts like a mirror that forces others to see themselves without his stabilizing energy. The quiet arsonist lives by one internal code. Truth is non-negotiable. Anything that feeds on illusion must burn. He doesn't argue morality or appearances. He cares only about authenticity. That's why he's often misunderstood as cold or heartless. In reality, he's one of the few men honest enough to let lies die. His destruction is purification. His silence is the match. When he walks away, it's never to escape. It's to let what's fake consume itself. And when the smoke clears, what remains is raw, real, and enduring. He's not a destroyer in the emotional sense. He's a reset button disguised as a man. Number 5. The mind nomad. The mind nomad is the Sigma male who treats thinking like traveling. He refuses to build a permanent home inside any single belief system. While most people cling to ideologies like religion, he moves through them like a seasoned traveler. Respectful, curious, but never trapped. His loyalty is to truth, not tradition. He collects fragments of wisdom from everywhere, philosophy, science, spirituality, psychology, and builds his worldview from what works, not what's popular. He doesn't need certainty. He needs clarity. That's why he's comfortable with paradox. He understands that reality isn't supposed to fit neatly inside one framework. To him, clinging to one ideology is like camping in one country and calling it the world. He wants the full map. This makes him intimidating to people who find safety in fixed beliefs. They call him lost or confused, but he's neither. He's simply unwilling to trade freedom of thought for the comfort of belonging. He listens deeply, even to ideas he disagrees with, because he's not threatened by contradiction. His curiosity is sharper than his ego. He can discuss religion with an atheist, politics with a rebel, or psychology with a mystic, and walk away with insights from all of them. But he never becomes any of them. He takes what nourishes his understanding and keeps moving. That's his genius. He extracts wisdom without inheriting bias. The mind nomad's greatest strength is adaptability. Because he's not emotionally married to any worldview, he can adjust faster than most when reality shifts. While others argue about who's right, he's already evolved to what's next. His thinking flows like water, never rigid, never repetitive, always searching for higher ground. This way of living makes him a loner in intellectual terms. He doesn't fit into circles because circles close. His mind stays open. Yet that very independence gives him a panoramic view of life that few ever reach. He doesn't seek to be understood. He seeks to understand. And in a world obsessed with certainty, the mind nomad walks freely, belonging nowhere, but learning from everywhere. Number 6. The ghost architect. The ghost architect is the Sigma male who operates entirely in silence, yet leaves unmistakable fingerprints on everything he touches. He's not the man you see broadcasting his goals or chasing applause. He's the man quietly pulling threads behind the curtain, while everyone else performs on stage. He builds his empire in the shadows, brick by invisible brick, guided by a vision so precise that by the time the world notices its shape, it's already complete. His power lies in subtlety, influence without exposure, creation without noise. He understands that the louder you are, the easier you are to read. So he says little, reveals even less, and lets curiosity work as his camouflage. People underestimate him because they can't measure what they can't see. But everything he does, every move, every silence, has intention. He's strategic to the point of invisibility. When his plans come to life, they feel almost organic, as if the universe conspired to make them happen. But it wasn't luck. It was him, designing from the dark. The ghost architect thrives on autonomy. He doesn't crave validation or partnership. He craves precision and freedom. While others are busy networking and performing ambition, he's already 10 steps ahead, building infrastructure no one will recognize until they're standing inside it. His patience is unnerving. He doesn't rush the process because he's not performing for the clock. He builds for permanence, not proof. This Sigma doesn't need to dominate spaces. He reshapes them through quiet calibration. He can alter an environment without ever raising his voice, guiding people and outcomes subtly until they align with his internal blueprint. That's his genius. He doesn't fight systems. He rewires them. By the time people realize how much influence he's had, he's already moved on to the next structure. Gone, but everywhere. His success has no applause because he's allergic to noise. He prefers the satisfaction of control over the illusion of recognition. The ghost architect is the man who designs his destiny in silence, vanishes before the applause, and leaves the world running on his invisible architecture. Number 7. The emotional minimalist. The emotional minimalist is the Sigma male who treats feelings the way a master craftsman treats tools, selectively and with precision. He's not emotionless. He's emotionally disciplined. He doesn't allow every passing impulse to control him, because he knows emotions can be addictive, deceptive, and loud. While most people are ruled by whatever they feel in the moment, he filters emotions through logic, allowing only those that serve clarity, growth, or action to stay. The rest, self-pity, jealousy, outrage, are discarded like emotional clutter. To him, emotional control isn't suppression, it's optimization. He's learned that most emotional reactions are manipulations, from others or from one's own ego. That's why he doesn't overreact, overshare, or over-explain. His calm unsettles people because they mistake his composure for coldness. In truth, he's simply immune to the chaos that consumes others. He doesn't chase peace, he engineers it. This Sigma's emotional detachment gives him rare power in a world addicted to validation. He's the man who won't be guilt-tripped, provoked, or emotionally blackmailed. People try to push his buttons and get frustrated when they find there aren't any. He doesn't engage in emotional games because he knows emotions are the easiest entry point for manipulation. His silence in conflict isn't avoidance, it's self-preservation. He won't waste energy proving he's right when truth eventually reveals itself on its own. Yet beneath that calm exterior, there's depth, a private emotional world he guards fiercely. He feels deeply but doesn't advertise it. When he loves, it's steady, not dramatic. When he's angry, it's quiet and strategic. When he's hurt, he processes it alone, converting pain into understanding instead of performance. That's his emotional alchemy. The emotional minimalist is rare because he chooses awareness over reaction. In a culture that glorifies overexpression, he chooses restraint. His emotions don't control his path, they inform it. That's why he's unshakable. He's mastered the art of feeling without being consumed, caring without collapsing, and loving without losing himself. Number 8. The Phantom Strategist. The Phantom Strategist is the Sigma male who plays life like a grandmaster long before anyone else realizes there's even a game unfolding. He doesn't move impulsively, and he doesn't need the thrill of competition. He's already designed the system while everyone else is still reading the rules. This man operates in dimensions others haven't yet discovered. His decisions are quiet, deliberate, and years ahead of their consequences. By the time others start making moves, he's already somewhere else, refining the next blueprint. What makes him exceptional isn't intelligence alone, but foresight. He doesn't react, he predicts. He studies people, environments, and power dynamics with an almost forensic calm, spotting weaknesses and patterns others overlook. He doesn't manipulate, he anticipates. It's why he rarely loses. The Phantom Strategist doesn't need to dominate through force or persuasion. He shapes the flow of outcomes before opposition even forms. His presence is hard to detect because his fingerprints are everywhere and nowhere, embedded in decisions, ideas, and structures that carry his design long after he's gone. He's not interested in fame or credit. In fact, anonymity is his weapon. Visibility, to him, is vulnerability. Once people see your hand, they can block your next move. That's why he disappears the moment success starts attracting attention. He prefers to be the mind behind the curtain rather than the face on the screen. His fulfillment comes not from applause but from precision, the quiet satisfaction of watching plans unfold exactly as intended, while the world assumes it's coincidence. This Sigma's strategy isn't about winning for ego, it's about mastery. He doesn't crave trophies. He builds the field where trophies are awarded. He designs systems that function even in his absence, ensuring his legacy survives without his supervision. That's his genius. He doesn't fight for positions because he's already created the ladder everyone else is climbing. The Phantom Strategist is the ghost in every success story, the unseen architect of advantage. By the time people try to figure out how he did it, he's already vanished, leaving behind only the blueprint of his brilliance. Number 9. The Controlled Chaos. The Controlled Chaos Sigma. Male is a paradox, calm on the inside, unpredictable on the outside. He doesn't live recklessly, he just refuses to be predictable enough to be controlled. While others follow patterns that make them easy to read, he moves like smoke, shifting direction, breaking rhythm, and keeping everyone guessing. What looks like impulsiveness is actually strategic confusion. He knows that the moment people can predict you, they can manipulate you, so he turns unpredictability into armor. His life might appear chaotic. Sudden changes, unexpected decisions, periods of isolation followed by bursts of activity. But there's always structure beneath the madness. He uses randomness as camouflage. When people think he's being erratic, he's really calculating, watching who reveals their motives when they think he's distracted. He creates uncertainty in others to expose who depends on control. It's his psychological test, one that reveals character faster than words ever could. The Controlled Chaos Sigma thrives in unpredictability because it's where authenticity shows. He's seen how people behave when the script gets ripped, and that's where he finds truth. That's why he'll sometimes shake his own world on purpose, quit a stable job, walk away from comfort, or disappear without warning. Not because he's lost, but because stillness can make a mind stagnate. He moves to stay sharp. People often call him confusing or hard to follow, but that's because they're mistaking freedom for instability. He's not running from direction. He's rejecting confinement. His unpredictability keeps him independent, mentally, emotionally, and socially. No one can claim ownership of him because no one can fully map him. What they don't realize is that his chaos is a mirror. Those who crave control fear him. Those who value truth are drawn to him. In a world addicted to order, his refusal to be pinned down feels dangerous, but it's actually wisdom disguised as wildness. He moves like lightning, no pattern, no warning, but always with purpose. And when the smoke clears, it's obvious that every unpredictable move had a reason. You just couldn't see it until he was already gone. Number 10. The intellectual rebel. The intellectual rebel is the Sigma male who refuses to be mentally domesticated, even by his own ideas. He doesn't worship knowledge. He dismantles it. The moment he starts feeling too certain about something, he questions it until it collapses. To him, comfort in a belief is the beginning of decay. He evolves by outgrowing himself repeatedly, breaking his own logic just to rebuild it sharper. His rebellion isn't against authority or society alone. It's against stagnation. This Sigma doesn't seek truth that flatters him. He seeks truth that challenges him. He understands that every ideology, no matter how brilliant, eventually becomes a prison if it's never questioned. So he lives in a constant state of mental renovation, never permanent, always refining. While others cling to philosophies for identity, he treats them like temporary tools. He uses them until they stop working, then tosses them aside without sentiment. That's why he's often misunderstood as arrogant or contrarian. In reality, he's allergic to mental laziness. The intellectual rebel is never trying to be right. He's trying to be accurate. He'll contradict himself publicly if his perspective has evolved, and he won't apologize for it. To him, consistency is overrated when it comes at the cost of truth. He knows most people confuse conviction with ego. They defend their opinions like possessions. He doesn't. He owns nothing mentally because ownership breeds blindness. This mindset gives him a rare kind of freedom. He's immune to ideological manipulation because he can't be emotionally blackmailed by belonging. He can walk into any debate and see beyond the tribal lines, the emotional traps, the false dichotomies, the illusions of certainty. He's not here to win arguments. He's here to expand perception. Every time he destroys an old version of himself, he upgrades his clarity. That's his cycle. Destruction, revelation, evolution. It's what makes him powerful yet misunderstood. The intellectual rebel doesn't need to be agreed with, only to be mentally alive. And that's what terrifies people. A man whose mind cannot be owned, not even by his former self. Number 11. The silent provocateur. The silent provocateur is the Sigma male who mastered the art of proving points without ever opening his mouth. He doesn't argue, because arguments are just noise, and noise is where truth gets lost. Instead, he lets reality become his spokesperson. When confronted by arrogance or hypocrisy, he doesn't defend himself or try to win debates. He simply sets things in motion that quietly expose the truth. His style of confrontation is non-verbal, surgical, and devastatingly effective. He knows that words are cheap. Everyone talks, few demonstrate. So he makes his silence heavy. When someone mocks him or doubts him, he doesn't react with ego. He waits. Then something happens, an outcome, a result, a revelation, and it makes his point more powerfully than 1,000 rebuttals ever could. By then, his critics have already humiliated themselves, and all he did was watch. That's his brilliance. He doesn't fight for validation. He orchestrates exposure. The silent provocateur's calmness isn't weakness, it's control. He understands that loud people need noise to survive. They use volume to hide insecurity. By staying quiet, he denies them fuel. His silence forces others to fill the space with their own nonsense until they crumble under it. It's psychological aikido, using their energy against them while conserving his own. He's also a master of discomfort. He can look at someone without saying a word and make them rethink their entire argument. That's because his presence carries the weight of observation, the unspoken awareness that he sees through pretension. Loud men sense it and grow uneasy. They start justifying, over-explaining, unraveling, and that's when he's already won. This Sigma doesn't aim to destroy people, he aims to expose truth. But the truth, when revealed without words, feels like humiliation to those who've built their identity on deception. His silence is not passive, it's precision. He weaponizes it to cut deeper than confrontation ever could. And when the dust settles, the only sound left is the echo of his point. Proven, undeniable, and wordless. Number 12. The Shadow Philanthropist. The shadow philanthropist is the Sigma male who practices compassion like it's a covert operation. He helps, but never publicly. You won't find him posting his good deeds or seeking validation for them. His kindness moves quietly, often unnoticed, because he doesn't need witnesses. He needs results. For him, generosity isn't about emotion or image. It's about precision. He steps in when he sees chaos, imbalance, or injustice, and corrects it quietly, like a mechanic fixing a system before it collapses. The fewer people know, the more genuine the act feels. He gives not because he's sentimental, but because it stabilizes his inner sense of order. When he helps someone, it's not for gratitude, it's for equilibrium. Seeing others in unnecessary suffering irritates his sense of logic. It disrupts the symmetry of life as he perceives it. So, he acts, not loudly, not dramatically, but effectively. Maybe he funds someone's dream anonymously, removes an obstacle from their path, or says the exact thing that changes their trajectory, and then vanishes. His fingerprint is in the outcome, not in the spotlight. What sets him apart is the strategy behind his empathy. He doesn't throw help at people who waste it. He studies who's ready for it. His compassion is selective, almost surgical. He won't save someone who refuses to stand on their own feet. His kindness, though quiet, always has boundaries. To him, misplaced help is interference. He believes aid should empower, not enable. The shadow philanthropist's silence also protects him from ego. He knows how easily kindness can turn performative. People do good to be seen as good. That disgusts him. His giving must remain invisible to stay pure. He's not trying to be a hero. He's maintaining inner order through hidden balance. And that's his paradox. He brings light through shadow. He can change lives without being remembered, influence futures without being thanked. The world may never know what he did, but he'll know. And for the Sigma, that quiet certainty is worth more than any recognition could ever be. In a world obsessed with loud power, visible dominance, and endless self-promotion, Sigma males remain the paradox. Men who master control by surrendering attention, who lead without leading, and who win in silence while others are still rehearsing their strategies out loud. Each of these Sigma types, from the ghost architect to the silent provocateur, from the mind nomad to the controlled chaos, operates by a single law. Authenticity is worth more than approval. They don't need to prove who they are because their results, their presence, and their principles speak louder than any performance could. What makes them extraordinary isn't mystery for its own sake. It's the integrity behind it. They're not detached because they hate people. They're detached because they refuse to drown in pretense. Every Sigma male archetype embodies a different kind of quiet power: intellectual, emotional, strategic, or spiritual. But all share the same pulse, a relentless commitment to truth, even when truth isolates them. They are thinkers who outgrow their own thoughts, builders who create legacies without claiming them, and wanderers who refuse to live inside borrowed beliefs. And maybe that's what truly defines the Sigma path. They exist beyond imitation. You can't copy a man who builds from solitude, questions everything, and reshapes his world without permission. You can only learn from him, or be changed by the silence he leaves behind. So, if this deep dive into the many faces of the Sigma male sparked something in you, that quiet recognition of your own independence, your refusal to conform, or your hunger for self-mastery, then you already understand what this world often fears: the power of a mind that doesn't need to be seen to be unstoppable. If you found value in this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking content on the psychology and power dynamics of the Sigma world. Like, comment, and share this video with others who think differently. Because in a society that rewards conformity, spreading clarity is the quietest form of rebellion